So, Mr. Zhao, what is your response here? What is China's position? Indeed, the U.S. has been saying, look, China is not bound by this treaty. Why shall I bound my hands because of it?
I think the most immediate reason for the U.S. Decision or consideration of withdrawal from the treaty is the alleged Russian violation. However, it's also true that for years, people within the U.S. military have been arguing that China is now bound by the treaty, and China has been deploying massive numbers of such missiles in the Asia-Pacific region. And it is important, therefore, for the United States to untie its hands and have the option of developing its own such missiles to counter the so-called China threat. So I think the China consideration is an important factor in the American consideration here.
Yeah, what is China's consideration in terms of this?
Well, it's basically the hardline American military strategist wants to deploy INF missiles in or around China, especially on American overseas territory such as Guam, or on the territory of American allies such as Japan, to counter the so-called threat from China. But China developed such missiles only for the purpose of defending its perceived national interests, especially given the frequency of American close-range reconnaissance activities near China's coast. China feels it needs such missiles to counter those American activities. So there is certainly a gap of perception between U.S. and China that is driving the United States to consider developing such missiles of its own.
How important will the meeting be for the 5 nuclear countries to meet each other in Beijing? Very briefly, please. Zhao.
Well, the U.S. has made a deadline of February the 2nd. So after the failure of the Geneva meeting between U.S. and Russian officials, the Beijing meeting at the end of this month will be maybe the only last opportunity for the two countries to have in-depth discussions in the hope of resolving their dispute and prevent this important treaty from collapsing.